Starlight Keep HFY presents
The Luminary Accord.
Chapter 7, Assembling the Crew. The next morning, Seraphine called for an urgent meeting with her trusted allies. In the briefing room, Jack, Dr. Nova Glorindel, Kyle Varin, and Nia Solari gathered, each curious about the sudden summons. Seraphine stood at the head of the table, a holographic star map hovering before her. During our journey back from the Veil of Shadows, we intercepted a signal. It's faint, but its energy signature resembles that of the harmonic nexus. Nova's eyes lit up. Another nexus? Potentially, Seraphine replied. The signal originates here. She pointed to a distant, uncharted sector of the galaxy, far from any known trade routes or inhabited systems. Kale leaned forward. That region is surrounded by spatial anomalies. It's treacherous to navigate. Jack crossed his arms. Sounds like our kind of mission. Nia spoke softly. If it's connected to the ancients, it could hold invaluable knowledge, or dangerous secrets. Seraphine nodded. Which is why I'm asking all of you to join me. This will not be without risk, but the potential rewards are too great to ignore. Nova grinned. You had me at ancient tech. Kale sighed but smiled. Count me in. Nia folded her hands. I'll come. There's much to learn from this. Jack smirked. You already know my answer. Then it's settled, Seraphine said. We depart at dawn. Chapter 8, Into the Unknown. The crew boarded the Luminary Hope, their sleek vessel ready for another venture into the galaxy's mysteries. As the ship left the comforting lights of Starlight Keep, the mood shifted from excitement to quiet determination. Jack piloted the ship, his fingers dancing over the controls. Setting course for the uncharted sector. Strap in. This might get bumpy. The journey was smooth at first, the stars a familiar blanket of light, but as they approached the edge of the mapped galaxy, the environment changed. Space seemed darker here, the stars dimmer. Kale studied the readings. We're entering an area with high spatial distortion, gravity fluctuations ahead. Can we navigate it? Seraphine asked. Jack grinned. We're about to find out. Nova's console beeped. The signal's growing stronger. We're on the right track. Suddenly the ship jolted. Warning lights flared and alarms echoed through the cabin. Gravitational pull detected, Kale shouted. We're caught in a field. Jack fought the controls. Hold on! The ship shuddered violently as Jack maneuvered them through the anomaly. With a final burst of power, they broke free, emerging into a pocket of calm. Everyone exhaled in relief. Well, Jack said, that was fun. Nova frowned at her console. The signal is close. Whatever's out here, we're about to find it. Chapter 9, The Shattered World. Ahead of them loomed a planet, its surface fragmented like a broken mirror. Glowing cracks crisscrossed the landscape, pulsating with energy. What happened here? Nia whispered, her wings trembling. Seraphine's expression was unreadable. The ancients. This planet was destroyed long ago, but something still lingers. Nova's readings confirmed it. The signal is coming from the largest fragment. There's a structure. Another nexus, I think. Jack brought the ship into orbit. I'll find us a safe landing zone. Kyle warned. Stay alert. If this nexus is intact, its defenses might be too. The Luminary Hope touched down on the cracked surface, the crew disembarking into an eerie silence. The air was thin, the sky an unnatural shade of crimson. Before them stood a massive structure similar to the nexus they had encountered before, but larger and more imposing. This place feels alive, Nia said, her voice barely above a whisper. As they approached, the ground rumbled, and the entrance lit up with ancient symbols. "It's reacting to us," Nova said. "Or to something we're carrying." Seraphine placed a hand on the structure. "The Nexus recognizes us." The doors slid open with a deep, resonant hum. Chapter 10. Secrets of the Nexus. Inside, the team found a vast chamber filled with floating crystals and intricate mechanisms. The air hummed with energy, and the symbols on the walls glowed softly. "This is incredible," Nova breathed. "It's in pristine condition." Kale pointed to a central console. "That appears to be the control interface." Seraphine approached cautiously. "Let's see what the ancients left behind." As she activated the console, holographic images filled the room, showing scenes of a flourishing civilization and their eventual downfall. "The ancients created these nexuses to stabilize the galaxy," Nia interpreted, "but something went wrong." Nova's face paled. "The energy readings, they were trying to stop the collapse of their own star system, but the process backfired." Kale looked grim. "The same energy could destabilize other systems if misused." Jack spoke up. "Then we need to make sure this place doesn't fall into the wrong hands." The ground shook suddenly and alarms blared. "Defenses activating!" Kyle shouted. From the shadows, mechanical guardians emerged, more advanced and deadly than before. "Here we go again," Jack muttered, drawing his weapon. "The fight for survival in the Nexus begins, as the crew battles ancient guardians while racing to uncover the secrets that could save or doom the galaxy." The room erupted into chaos as the mechanical guardians lunged forward, their sleek forms shimmering with ancient energy. Jack's weapon roared to life, each shot slamming into a guardian with precision that sent sparks flying. "Let's show these tin cans what humans are made of!" he shouted, a fierce grin splitting his face. Nova ducked behind a console, fingers flying across its interface. "I'm rerouting power to disable their shields. Just hold them off." Kale, wielding a plasma blade, moved like a dancer, his strikes calculated and deadly. "Keep them busy! Seraphine, get to the core!" Seraphine sprinted toward the central pedestal, dodging blasts of energy as guardians closed in. Nia hurled an improvised explosive, the shockwave sending one of the machines crashing into a wall. "Boom! Score 1 for ingenuity." As Seraphine reached the pedestal, the console lit up with intricate symbols. "I'm initiating the sequence," she yelled. Behind her, Jack stood his ground, firing relentlessly. "Better hurry!" Jack barked, smashing the butt of his weapon into a guardian that had gotten too close. Suddenly, the chamber's energy surged. The walls pulsed with light, and the guardians froze mid-attack. A low hum grew into a deafening roar as the Nexus began to glow with raw power. Seraphine slammed her hand onto the final rune, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Nexus override activate!" The room detonated in a blinding flash of light, sending the remaining guardians crumbling to the floor. When the glow subsided, the team stood in stunned silence, surrounded by the shattered remains of ancient machines. Jack wiped sweat from his brow, his grin returning. "Now that's how you make history." Chapter 11. Hearts Unveiled. The glow of the harmonic nexus faded, leaving a tranquil hum that reverberated through the chamber. The crew stood in silence, their breaths catching up after the chaos of activating the ancient mechanism and surviving its defenses. Seraphine Moonshadow, her composure only slightly shaken, glanced at her companions. Each of them bore marks of their efforts. Kale's shimmering skin dimmed from exertion, Nia's wings trembling slightly, Jack leaning on a console with a smirk that barely concealed his fatigue, and Nova Glorindal rubbing a burn mark on her wrist from an overcharged device. "Well," Jack broke the silence, his voice laced with humor, "I'd call that a solid team-building exercise." Nova chuckled. If your idea of team building involves nearly getting vaporized by ancient security bots, sure. Seraphine allowed a rare smile to curve her lips. If nothing else, we've proven our resilience. The Nexus chamber had yielded more than just the mechanism to stabilize the Luminary Alignment. As the systems powered down, a final sequence of symbols had been displayed, hinting at other nexuses scattered throughout the galaxy. Each one, it seemed, held fragments of knowledge, pieces of a greater puzzle left by the ancients. Kale leaned over the console, squinting at the flickering lights as if staring harder would make sense of it all. His hand hovered uncertainly above a glowing button, then quickly pulled back, like it might bite. The ancients weren't just keeping their star systems in order, he muttered, scratching the back of his head. They were, building something bigger, much bigger. Probably the kind of thing that explodes if you press the wrong button. Nova leaned closer to the holograms. Something interconnected. If we find the rest, we could unlock technology that reshapes everything we know. Jack's grin faded slightly. Or technology that tears us apart. Nia folded her arms. That's why it must remain in the right hands. And why this knowledge must be safeguarded. Seraphine's gaze lingered on the group, her thoughts a whirlwind of possibilities and risks. For now, we've achieved what we came for. Let's focus on returning safely to Starlight Keep. The Council must be briefed on everything. Back aboard the Luminary Hope, as the ship glided through the vast emptiness of space on its way home, the mood on board began to change. The tension of the mission faded, replaced by quiet reflection and a bit of awkward small talk as the crew adjusted to the calm. In the late hours, they found comfort in each other's company, sharing stories and laughs to pass the time. In the observation lounge, Jack and Seraphine sat together, the stars beyond casting a soft glow over the room. "You've been quiet," Jack said, glancing at her. Seraphine turned her gaze from the stars to him. "A great deal has happened. There's much to consider." "True," Jack admitted. "But I've learned something about you, Seraphine. You're always thinking 2 steps ahead." A soft laugh escaped her. "And you, Captain Mitchell, rarely think further than the next moment." "Hey," he protested, feigning offense. "That's what makes us a good team." She tilted her head, a glint of amusement in her silver eyes. "Perhaps." Jack's tone grew more serious. "You trust the Council to handle this right? The knowledge we've uncovered?" Seraphine hesitated. "I trust their intentions, but knowledge of this magnitude is both a gift and a burden." "And us?" Jack pressed gently. "Do you trust us?" Her gaze softened. "You've proven yourselves time and again. My trust is well placed." Jack smiled, leaning back. "Good to know, because I've got a feeling this isn't the last time we'll be in over our heads." In another part of the ship, Nova and Nia worked on cataloging the data from the Nexus. Despite the late hour, their energy remained high. "This is groundbreaking," Nova said, her voice tinged with excitement. "The connections between these nexuses, imagine what we could achieve if we understand them fully." Nia's expression was more reserved. "And imagine what could happen if the wrong people learn of this." Nova paused, her enthusiasm dampened slightly. "You're right. We have to be careful." Nia placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "We'll protect this knowledge. Together." As the space station Starlight Keep came into view, its glowing silhouette a beacon of unity, a sense of relief washed over the crew, but beneath it was a growing awareness that their journey was far from over. Kale joined Seraphine on the bridge. "Ambassador, do you believe the galaxy is ready for what lies ahead?" She considered his question carefully. "I believe readiness is irrelevant. Change is inevitable. It is how we respond that defines us. Jack overheard and chimed in with a grin. Then let's hope the galaxy's got its seatbelt on. The docking process was smooth, and the crew disembarked to a gathering of diplomats, scholars, and council members eager for their report. Seraphine, as ever, stood poised at the forefront. Chapter 12. Echoes of Unity. The grand hall of Starlight Keep was filled with anticipation as Seraphine addressed the council. Her voice carried the weight of their mission and the hope it represented. "We stand on the precipice of understanding a legacy far older than any of us," she began. "The ancients left behind tools and knowledge, not just for their survival, but perhaps for ours. Yet, with such power comes responsibility. The decisions we make now will echo through generations." Elder Maris, whose skepticism had waned, stood. "You and your team have proven that unity is not just an ideal, but a necessity. The Council stands ready to support further exploration of these nexuses." Kale spoke up. "With care and collaboration, we can ensure this knowledge benefits all." Jack exchanged a look with Elena. "First time I've heard politicians agree on something," he muttered. Seraphine shot him a subtle glance, a reminder to behave, but the faintest curve of her lips betrayed her amusement. Later, in the celestial garden, the crew gathered for a moment of quiet celebration. The stars above seemed brighter, their light a promise of possibilities yet to come. "To the ancients," Nova toasted, raising her glass. "To what's next?" Kale added. "To surviving another mission," Jack quipped, earning laughs. Seraphine stood slightly apart, watching her companions with a rare sense of contentment. The challenges ahead were vast, but so was the strength of those beside her. As the evening wore on, Jack approached her. "You're not bad at this whole leading a team thing." "And you're not bad at following orders," she replied, her tone teasing. He grinned. "Guess we make a good pair." She looked at him, her expression softening. "That we do." As the night deepened, the crew parted ways, each carrying a spark of determination for what lay ahead. Above them, the stars shimmered, as if bearing witness to the unity forged in the vastness of space. The end.
Thank you for listening to this audiobook. We create stories for you to enjoy here for free. So be a kind, gentle human, and like and subscribe to not miss a single upload. Please consider joining the channel for exclusive content, and we hope you join us again in the next audiobook.